2, 1. And hello, everyone. Am I? Whatever. There's always a little bit of a delay, so I just saw on the screen that the thing was happening. Anyway, hello, everyone. I'm back for possibly the last Saturday gaming stream in a while because I am relocating and I am in Ireland in a place where normally I can't be speaking very loudly, so I can't stream. But this weekend, a couple of the times staying with are on holiday, so I have the whole house to myself and I can stream without worrying about disturbing people. And so I am here with Apius. Apius, say hi.
Hi, everyone. This is a very serious stream, and we have lots of stuff to cover.
Oh my god, why do you have to make it so serious? I was starting out in a happy mood and you were just like, it's serious. We have
Well,
very
well,
serious
Bella,
crimes to discuss.
I think that we all know what I'm talking about, which is your behavior on the last stream that was really inappropriate, and I felt actually really offended by it.
Wait, was this when I brought you on in the middle? And
I don't even pretend like you don't know what I'm talking about. First off, I believe that you said that everyone that the UK is a shitty country filled with shitty people. I believe that you used the N word repeatedly while rapping, um, and I'm not going to tolerate that. And I think it's actually really inappropriate, Bella. And I think that all of our viewers agree with me on that.
do they? Do they all agree? Oh shit, I also forgot that I can't actually have the chat out in front of me. I have to keep because normally I do that on my phone. Um but I can't because I can't do that because I don't have data here in Ireland. Oh my goodness. What a bummer. Fuck
The
Brexit.
So you're saying you'll have to stop playing. We're not going to get very far in it.
Oh
I
no.
say jokingly because we've literally gotten nowhere in the past like 5 streams.
I look, I tell you every time. I tell you
Yeah, yeah.
read up ahead and figure out how to solve this one fucking area. And you're like, oh,
Liter- Literally, so people know what happened behind the scenes. She messaged me like several hours ago, quite a lot of time, and was like, "Hey, Appius, can you look this up before the stream?" And I'm like, "No problem, I'm on it."
oh no, no,
And
no, no,
then
no.
maybe 10 minutes ago, she was like, "So, did you look that up?" And I'm like, "Oh." I just
Thank you.
completely forgot.
Thank you, Appius. You are once again saving the stream, truly. Um, we have no comments thus far, that's good. Right, so shall we segue into this with literally like a brief story time about my life, my miserable, sad incel life?
Hmm.
He got Avis has this fucking satisfied chuckle because he knows what's about to come. Right, so I have recently been questioning my asexuality, and I'm like, I think I have like a degree of attraction to like trans women, and I'm like, but like to trans women, but not to sort of cross-dressing men. It's something about like the effect of estrogen on the male body gets me really going, and I also happen to personally like not be into vaginas, so that means that cis women are kind of out of the question. And so I was like, okay, I might not be fully ace. Let's explore this. It's kind of fun. I'm in a new country. Let's really give a shot at this. I'm going to put myself out there and I'm going to try dating again. And so I'm on the apps. I'm messaging all of the trans women, being like, "Yo, how that girl dick hat?" And I don't know.
I mean, this is. I don't want to interrupt your story. This is just a minor side thing. But what app are you on, for instance?
I hate you, Apius. I really fucking hate you. I'm on her, which I know is a lesbian dating app, and I'm a man, and that's not okay by my own stupid like TERF standards. And I feel a bit bad about that, but I say in my profile that you know, I almost like apologize for it. But the reason is because like the trans women that aren't on the trans women that are on Grinder and such are kind of mostly just there to hook up, and that's far too much for me. And I just want a nice relationship, you know? Like, I want to go on some dates and have some coffee and see how it goes. And that's exactly what I had set up. So I was going to be going on a date tomorrow with this lovely, charming trans woman from Iceland. And then I figured that because I know from experience that, like, you know, being gender critical is a big deal with most of us trans people. I was like, I should probably be honest about that before we meet up, just because it would be better that than we meet up and we, you know, talk for a bit and then she finds out and she feels like I was like hiding it from her. So I figured I would be honest about that, and so I did, and she was not happy, and it was a deal breaker for her, and she was like, "Nah, I'm not going to do tomorrow." So I was going to have a date tomorrow, and now I don't have a date tomorrow, and I'm a little sad about that. And it's because I'm a TERF. So we're going to talk about that here. Like,
And
am
don't
I?
worry, Bella. You know me, and you know that I would never rub this in your face. Uh,
Oh God, we have a great friendship, guys. Truly, we
yeah.
do. It's been good.
I now to be fair, I do want to viciously attack you over this, and I will. But something just occurred to me. This is a trans woman from Iceland. Like, is she the only one there? Iceland's like really small. There's like 100,000 people there. It's like the size of a small hamlet.
I know,
Like,
but I think that's the thing. Also, is like I'm like learning Old Icelandic, and I could have like sucked up to his. Look, I could have simped for her in Old Icelandic. I would have simped so hard, and it's like damn it. Anyway,
yeah.
what could have been.
Allegedly,
What
their language hasn't changed in like 1,000 years very much. Isn't that true? Or
So
I heard
yeah,
it from you. So,
the difference between Old Icelandic and modern Icelandic, it's kind of like the differences from the sense I get from it, and from having spoken to another Icelandic person about it's like the differences between modern English and Middle English is the level of difference between
oh, okay.
yeah modern Icelandic and Old Icelandic, because the form that we have, the form of Old Icelandic, which people often call Old Norse, that we have was standardized in around the 1300s, and and the Icelanders are a very literate people, and so that written standard became very important to them, and not much has changed
You,
since.
you know what I find interesting is like they have, I guess some languages have this. I don't think English does, but it has some like society like thing that dictates the language and any changes in it and any sort of things for Icelandic, and they want to keep it like linguistically pure, and so they when new devices and new things are invented. They don't use loan words from other ones. They
No,
use really weird like combinations. Like a computer, I believe, is called like a a, a seer box or something, like seer meaning like magician or something. And I think that's very cool.
yeah, um, it indeed. So like their word for computer, for instance, is dulva, which is quite nice.
Dulva. Oh, that's
Dulva,
nice.
yeah. Rather than ordinateur or something like this. But yeah, so this is true. They have a council that keeps it very pure, and there's like, but there are still some forms of corruption that are coming in. I don't like corruption, goodness, but some forms of foreign influence that are coming into modern Icelandic, oftentimes through
This whole thing
computers.
is sounding like very subtly racist. It's like the corruption is coming into their pure Aryan language, and
Well, it's coming from mostly other white people, in that it's coming from the English language. So, a big
well, you
issue.
know how I feel about the English.
This is true. I know. There's like Turf Island motherfuckers. Am I right?
Hmm.
So a big problem with it is that to my knowledge, there's not a phone keyboard on Apple and such lot for Icelandic, meaning
Huh?
that it's harder to text in Icelandic than it is in English, and so many Icelanders increasingly text each other in English, and they don't really bother as much with Icelandic when writing to each other, and
Oh.
that leads to them using more English words in their speech as well. Really interesting stuff. But
But let's
yes,
get back to
berating
attacking
me.
you.
Yeah, go for
Yeah.
it.
Um, let me see. What were we even talking about? It was you were gonna go out with this
Yeah,
person.
I was going to
No.
go on a yeah, I was going to go on a date, and she was like, and I was honest. I was like, I basically was like, I think you should know because it's fair enough. I'm gender critical, but I'm not a bigot about it, and I just don't think I'm a bigot in general, and I don't think I'm a bad person, and that I can like explain myself if I'm given the opportunity. But she
Okay.
didn't want to.
So here's why that's stupid, Bella. No offense to you personally. But prior to this, by the way, so everyone knows that I'm not being too mean to Bella. She was like, I really like when people challenge my views, and it makes for interesting viewing and stuff. So just lay into me as hard as possible. So this isn't me being actively abusive. This is Um, so the problem is that you have a definition in your head of what TERF and gender critical means. And basically, you have made this distinction that TERFs are the bad guys and gender critical are, reasonable human beings and stuff. But and here's part of the problem. Um, well, you know what? I'll get to the second part later. We have a lot of time to cover this, but you know, basically, I don't know if I mentioned this on stream last time. Probably did, and I'm repeating myself, and I'm an idiot. But um, in private to you, I also mentioned this concept of Humpty Dumpty logic of like uh, uh, saying, for instance, that like, oh, what a cute cat that is, and the person's like, that's a chair. Like, it's like, well, the word cat means whatever I say that it means. It's like, well, that's not how words work. You just because you think that these things, what turf and what gender critical mean, and I'm going to put this in the rudest way possible. What it means is usually some British person, usually a woman, usually a butch dyke who hates men and hates trans people, and is of the basically honestly is of the opinion that real trans people as like a medical or psychological thing or stuff like that don't actually exist. That really, most of them are either one of those two categories we've discussed. Either they're like super gay, one of these very effeminate gay men who have decided that this is a good way to, you know, trick and trap straight men by, becoming female, or they're what was the other category? Oh yeah, someone who like gets an erotic thrill out of doing this. That's what actually, and even if you disagree with those definitions, that it doesn't really matter. If other people are using that word that way, that's what it means. And so, like, when you say that you're gender critical, that's what they're hearing is that you're some self hating tranny who, is against other trannies, like, you know, some of these shitty YouTubers who you watch constantly, you know?
Wait, hold on. Which shitty YouTubers? Like
Was that lady who you linked me to?
Blair. I don't. Okay, I do watch Blair White, but I don't like watch. I hate watch Blair White. I don't like. I
Mhm.
don't like Blair White. Oh
I don't know
goodness.
how much I believe that. You have a unhealthy love of watching and interacting in terrible communities. You find it very fascinating. Is that fair to say?
Yes, but I think that the radical feminists that I have interacted with and befriended are just not as bad as you think they are.
No, and that's fine. It's just if that's true, then they're not actually gender critical
No,
and
that's not true.
turf.
Gender critical means something. Gender
No, no,
critical.
no, 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 no. What it means is turf. It was a rebranding of the phrase turf.
God, look, I
Am I wrong in that?
I would say the other way around. Like TERF was the reaction to gender critical ideas, is what I would
Mm-hmm.
say. Yeah. So, a TERF is almost the thought terminating cliche, and that's a phrase that I want to explore a bit here because I think it's relevant. It's relevant. I think that it's relevant. Um, TERF is basically the label that's used to shut down discussion of gender critical ideas because people go, "Oh, you're a TERF, you're bad, etc."
Let me guess. You think that turf is a slur? I'm so surprised.
I don't know. I don't think TERF is a slur. I just think that it's I just don't think it's convincing as a thing. Okay,
Oh,
I'm actually going to try to do the prison area instead.
good idea. We love the prison area.
Yeah, the prison
Uh,
area is actually very, very cool. Um,
yes. So, the second thing that causes some problems with me is that I don't know or interact with turfs, and it's not just because they're assholes. It's also because I'm in America. It appears to be a British phenomenon mainly, and I'm sure that there are some in the United States, but they are uh, less vocal. They don't get as much attention, and they are and ones who pipe up are are shut down as they should be when they say shit like uh trans women are men or something like that. So
when they say trans women are natal males, yeah.
yeah, well, that's not what they say. That is not at all what they say. That's what I have ordered you to say so that I don't get infuriated at you
You,
behind the scenes.
I mean,
But
you can get infuriated on stream. It would be content,
yeah,
wouldn't
I
it?
am, Bella. Don't worry about that. Um,
Okay, he's coming.
but
Yeah, like, yeah, guys, this is going to be the stream where Apius like yells at me for being
where
a
Apius
big
loses it and
for
has a fucking vein explode in my head like the Emperor Valerian. No, not Valerian. Ah, I fucked that up. Valerian was captain. Ah, I fucked it up. All right. Anyway, I think it was Vespasian. Anyways, what were we talking about? Something about you being dumb.
TERFs being more of a British thing.
Yeah. And there's no real surprise there because it's an awful place, and and they tend to spawn messed up ideologies. Anyone in the chat uh, uh getting upset at me yet?
No, we've actually lost so many. We used to get like 10 or 12 viewers every stream, and because I took those 2 weeks off, we've now gotten like four. It's very sad. I'm gonna cry.
Oh, brother.
I know, right?
Um,
And like, but you're like, is one or two of the three people here are probably one of the turfs that I linked it to in a turf server. So, um,
oh, great.
yeah, like, like, be grateful because they're giving you some degree of views right now.
Yeah, I'm fucking through. I don't get the
Guys,
views.
T in chat if you're a turf. Like, let's turfs make some noise. Like,
Ugh.
I'm sort of claiming that back because like if people are going to throw it at me, it's like like screw it. Like people know what turfs are. Some people don't know what gender critical is, and I'll just like claim it and show that I'm not a turf. You know,
Bella, that's really stupid. I
somebody
mean,
else
it's
told me
like
it's really
it's
stupid.
like someone being like, I'm oh my god, people keep calling me a Nazi, so I'm going to claim the title Nazi.
Okay, well,
Um,
actually, no, but like this may be a more productive thing to do because I sent you a list of positions and I was like, these are my positions. And then you were like, yeah, those are turf positions and they make you a terrible person. Um, so why
I don't
don't
think I said that
you did?
specifically,
You did.
but
You fucking did.
but here's the thing about those positions
Okay.
is that I believe what I replied to them was ugh, UGH. But here's the thing, and I remembered what I was going to say about this was that I don't we don't have as many turfs visibly around here in the U.S. And so when you say things like that, like these positions that you mentioned, which we'll go over, um, they seem like ones that a normal person would be allowed to have, that a normal trans person could potentially have, without labeling themselves as gender critical or turf, and thereby, alienating people and associating with a terrible, group. And I know that you're like, no, they're not all terrible. Bella, by your own admission, like over 90% of them are.
I thought
So
no. I retract that a bit. I was because I think I said that before. I didn't really know that many before. Like I I was saying that based on my observations of the most public ones. Um, but I don't think that's most people who are gender critical.
well, that's stupid, Bella, and you're wrong. Um,
Oh, and you say this
so
based on how many gender critical people that you know? Also, I've just
how
posted.
many gender critical people who I've seen?
That
I've
no,
seen
no, no,
quite
no,
a
no.
lot.
That no, that you know that you had like conversations with, etc.
Why would I do again? And I hate to keep bringing up Nazis, but I'm going to.
Oh
The
shit.
it's like, oh, so you hate Nazis, and this is based on how many Nazis you know. It's like I don't need to know that their positions are disgusting and horrible. I mean, why would I
I
need to know that?
I don't think TERFs are as bad because again, I'll read out the policy positions for chat. Um, my policy, I think single-sex spaces should be protected. I don't think trans women should compete in the women's sports league or trans men in the women's league. I think I don't think woman or man should be defined by a set of behaviors or aesthetics. I don't think homosexuals should be criticized for not wanting to date someone of the opposite sex or for wanting single-sex
Now,
dating services. I think that the
hold on,
affirmative. Okay, go on.
real quick. I think it's very curious that when you wrote that, you only said homosexuals.
Because well, okay, yeah, fine. Homosexuals, heterosexuals as well. Yeah, same thing.
Yeah, same thing. You're right.
I should say monosexuals, yeah. I don't think monosexuals should be criticized for not wanting to date someone of the opposite or the same sex, or for wanting to single sex dating services. I think that the affirmative model is not suitable to treat most cases of sex dysphoria. I think that trans medicine as institutional practice diverts focus from necessary political struggles against patriarchy. There we go. Right. Now,
Okay,
are those
so
positions like as bad as we should genocide the Jews? Oh
uh,
god, I should that's gonna get clipped. Like, but
yes, can someone please record that?
oh my
Um,
god. Anyway,
the we need to get like a soundboard like those radio guys so we can tap that. The no, they're not as bad, but but I'd say two of those positions, and I don't have them in front of me, but I remember that two of them were reasonable and seemed like general, things that many trans people would have. I think that some people might have be okay with the concept of gender abolition. I'm not. Most people are not. I think that it, has a lot of negative things that can come out of it as well. And but the last one is one that I've yelled at you previously about that I think is pretty disgusting. It more and more, very recently, and by the way, you and everyone else in the thing, Bella has this problem of, you know, changing her views and getting more and more extreme, like on a constant basis, and never just like resting on her laurels and being like, okay, this is how I feel, or this is a. It's always like, oh well, another week passed. I need to,
that's not
because your new
true.
thing is having. Yeah, no, it is. But uh, uh, the thing is that your new kick that you're on is about thinking that the you use some really offensive term too. It was like the trans medical establishment is out there exploiting these trans people and telling getting them to do these unnecessary surgeries and stuff. It's like how much would you claim I'm misrepresenting your stupid views?
Well, I think you're misrepresenting my views a good deal as it happens. Jesus, why do I
So,
feel?
what was the last point that you said on your list of points of stuff that you believe?
I think that trans medicine as institutional practice diverts focus from necessary political struggles against patriarchy.
Ugh. Um, the okay, well, that's a position that you could take. I disagree with it, and I think that that and there were some other things that you had said previously about being against these this sort of stuff that sounded pretty ridiculous to me about it being negative, in various ways. The medical, establishment for trans people when it's done so much help, and not only for other abstract trannies, but for you, this specific tranny, it's done a lot, positive things.
I don't feel you should be using the word tranny.
And yet here we are. This is the problem with the N word is that you're not allowed to say it constantly, get people used to it, comfortable saying it, and then get upset when other people pick up on it. I know you think you are, but usage of a word ends up making people think that it's okay.
Look, I think with tranny, there's clearly like the person it's coming from really, and the context it's coming from matters, right?
Mhm.
Like Miss London joking about herself being a tranny, that's one thing. Somebody's calling another person directly a tranny is different. Oh my god. Anyway, I don't have the patience to get into this right now. Um
Well, you probably shouldn't have started a stream, should you?
this is true. I did ask for this. I basically asked for this as punishment because I felt bad and almost guilty when that date cancelled because I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
and to be fair, that's you're supposed to. You should feel bad, and you're, you know, you're being a bad person right now. But go ahead.
I don't think I'm being a bad person. I don't think I'm being hateful.
I think that you do think that actually, but go ahead.
one of
Bella,
the
rebuttal.
One of the things I did like a 2 fucking hour stream with Florista. By the way, shout out to Florista. Go subscribe to her channel. She's amazing. Um, I did a 2 hour stream with Florista, where we tried to figure out ways in which we can sort of fit gender critical rhetoric to trans people. Oh no, the game is
What the hell?
crashing.
Ooh.
It's fine. We'll restart it. But no, I did like a 2 hour stream about how we can be gender critical and trans embracing. And I tell that to people and I give them the video and they're like, oh, I'm not going to watch that. I'm not interested in
Yeah. Well, why
hearing.
do you need the label, Bella? Why actually do you need the label?
So like, I don't need it. It's just like, I would rather be candid than use a euphemism. I think yeah, saying somebody said that I should call myself like a gender abolitionist, but at the end of the day, most of the positions that I agree with are ones that people get called TERFs for. So I might as well just call myself a TERF if I'm going.
I really disagree. I think that Bella, you are the most infuriating human being on the face of the planet because you have these like views and things that like if you would just fucking change like one word or something, you would get like 90% of the world to agree with you,
I
and
don't
you
know
would
if
be
that's I don't
in
know
the
if
city.
that's true.
But you just stubbornly refuse to. You just refuse to. You're like, I'm a man, and I'm like, well, Bella, maybe you should start saying natal male and stuff like that. And you're like, well, that's what I mean. And I'm like, well, then maybe that's what you should say, Bella. And you're like, well, I have these opinions that some people call, turf and gender critical. So I'm just going to attach to that stuff. And I'm like, Bella, if you would just not do that, then you would win. Then people would be like, wow, I should listen to this person. I should, they're making some good points. And but you just don't. You just sabotage yourself because you're fucking crazy.
Jesus, I had a friend basically say the same thing to me.
Well, hook
Um,
me up with him. This guy's clearly smart.
um,
Well, explain it to me, Bella. Why don't you?
because I don't think it's actually that case. I think like when I say that I don't think trans women should use women's toilets in public, for instance, I think that's something that people consider turfy. When I say that there should be medical gatekeeping for transition, that's the kind of thing that people consider to be turf, or at least transmedicalist. And those are often transmedicalist is often regarded as almost interchangeable with turf anyway. Um, when I say that I don't think it's politically valuable to call trans women women, um, people say that that's turfy. So I feel like not calling
Uh
myself
oh. The stream's getting bad. Okay.
okay. I feel like not calling myself those things would be euphemism, and that feels dishonest to me. Oh my, as Apius like rage quit. If Apius is
Because the stream is going a little bit weird.
oh, the stream's gone a little bit weird. Okay, well
God damn it.
it doesn't sound weird on my end. You sound fine on my end. And well, it's fine if
Okay. So you can hear me right now, right?
I can hear you right now.
Okay. I think there's not that much of a delay.
Awesome.
So yeah, I think. Anyways, what I was saying while it was cut off there was that you're stupid, and or rather, you're being stupid about this. The because first off, again, it's very culturally bound. It's about like here in America, people wouldn't apply that term. I don't think because it doesn't exist as much around. With the internet, people more kind of know what turf is and stuff like that. But I think that you know the and also I think that rewording of these things would make a big difference. And I know that it's kind of weird for me, of all people, to be an advocate for, you know, tiptoeing around and wording things not super bluntly, because that's what I do for a living. But saying that, for instance, it's not a good idea for trans women to be using women's bathrooms. People would be like, "Oh well, I mean that's true. It might not be a good idea for a number of reasons. Let me do that." But saying trans women shouldn't use it comes off as being like, "You fucking tranny, yeah, deal with it," are being a dirty pervert and going in there and stuff and all these things. You have, you catch more flies with fucking stuff than with the other stuff. I forget how that saying goes. More flies with honey than vinegar or whatever.
Yes, although I'm told that flies actually love vinegar, funnily enough.
They do actually, yeah.
Um, but yeah, I don't think so. I think I don't think there's that much of a difference with saying like trans women shouldn't use women's restroom.
I know
And
that's
saying
because you're
that
just not that good at this arguing thing and this debating stuff.
I don't
I know
think
you think
because
you are because
I've seen Kathleen Stock gets all sorts of terrible abuse, and the things she says are very moderate and very mild and similar to how I say them. Sorry, no, that she's even more diplomatic, I should say, in her language than I am. And also with regards to yeah, I think it's important. Same thing with calling trans women. Part of the reason I'm now starting to avoid even the term natal male as I used to use is that it implies that there's some kind of other way to be male, to sort of become male, and that I think is misleading.
well, that's because you're wrong, Bella. It's that it's an interesting theory, your whole sort of gender abolition thing, but again, you just don't get to define the words. You just don't. You don't have the ability to redefine what the words mean in society. And and again, it's like you're sabotaging yourself. It's like you're saying, like, fuck it. I want people to hate me and not view my videos and hear what I have to say and stuff.
Oh,
And if you do, that's fine
I
with
should
me.
get
But
on. Well, TERFs have a tendency to love bomb, or gender criticals have a tendency to love bomb. So, I need to get on that. I need
I
some.
don't know what that means.
Oh, sorry, love bomb is just like when you throw a bunch of love at somebody to get them to stay on your political side. Gender criticals do that a lot. They did it with JK when she wrote her essay, an essay which I still have some issues with, but that's
Yeah, I know because she's a bitch and she's on your side.
why do we need to
And
call her a bitch, man? That's like a really common misogynistic.
because it's insulting and it's hurtful, and that's what I want to do.
Oh my
I
god.
want to hurt these people.
Okay, you
Um,
actual baby. Fine.
what really? These people inflict hurt all the time,
I
and
don't look. I know.
you know,
Look, I know that a lot of people who call themselves gender critical do inflict hurt all the time. I've talked with many gender critical feminists about this, and they dislike that in many ways because it underpins the rhetoric. I talked about this with Florista about how some of the gender critical mocking of trans women's appearances is counterproductive to gender critical political goals. Many are aware of this, and they don't like when gender critical
they
feminists
don't like
do that.
it. They don't appear to dislike it enough to do anything about it.
Well, I've seen within gender critical circles, I have seen gender critical feminists call other people out
Oh my
for.
god, what a bunch of heroes!
Well, it matters, it does, and I also do
If
my
I
part
was in a
there.
place where a huge number of people were doing that, I wouldn't fucking be a part of it. That would be disgusting. I mean, I wouldn't be a part of that community.
I think part of the problem is that gender critical as a label and as a, if we call it a political movement, I don't think that's sensible. But if we, as a community, it's very broad and it's really only defined by one thing. It's a bit like atheists. It's just defined by being critical of gender as a concept, and that therefore attracts a lot of different people with very different motivations, and some, I would even say, a good.
No, nope.
Well, this is rather unfair. This is what happened with if you're not going to let me and you're just going to say no, or you're going to say, oh, you're wrong, I don't need to listen to that argument, or oh, you're stupid, you're just like saying that I'm a terrible bigot.
Yes,
For
exactly. Now the
opinions which you say are reasonable. You said earlier my opinions are reasonable.
well, because you're associating with them and you're labeling yourself as such, and you
Wait, okay, okay. Well,
stubbornly refuse to.
let's take this away from the label turf then. Are my opinions reasonable?
Okay,
Do you?
let's. Why don't you?
No. Are they reasonable opinions?
Uh, I don't know. It's been a few minutes, but I was
Okay,
saying no previously.
no. We will go.
No,
We
no,
will
but
go through them.
I'm gonna forget what I was gonna say.
Oh no, but we'll go through these opinions. Single sex spaces should be respected and protected.
Sure, well, that's a poor way of wording it. It implies that they are under assault from these dirty trannies, but I know what you actually mean, so sure.
Right. So you think that trans women should not use women's bathrooms and changing rooms?
Not actually, no. But
Right. So you don't
the
agree with
I
that.
can
Cool. On to the next one. Trans women should not compete in the women's league in sports.
I think it depends on the sport, and I think it's complicated, but I can see where people would make arguments, blah blah blah.
Wait. So okay. So is that a yes or a no or a maybe?
Maybe I don't
Fine.
know enough
Maybe
about it. I think that there's certain ones where it would be fine.
trans women should not be in women's prisons.
I completely disagree with that, and I think
Fine.
that that's
Disagree.
one of your most hurtful things. Go
Cool.
ahead.
Great. Where are we? Woman or man should not be defined by a set of behaviors or aesthetics. And I'm saying should not
That
be,
I
not
disagree
is.
with.
Fine. Yeah,
Disagree
disagree
with.
with. So, I don't think homosexuals or monosexuals should be criticized for not wanting to date someone of the same or opposite sex, or for wanting single-sex dating services.
I guess I'm fine with genital preference and stuff.
Cool.
If that's basically what you're trying to say.
Yep. So I think that the affirmative model of trans healthcare is not suitable to treat most instances of sex dysphoria as they present presently.
Well, that's ridiculous. No, I don't agree with that. I think that
Right.
it's doing a pretty goddamn good job so far,
I think
and
the trans medicine
I
is
think there are
institute.
cases where it shouldn't, where there are alternate treatment types. But I think that you're kind of basing this on very little actually, and you've just kind of made up your mind. But go ahead.
Excuse me. Oh, for God's sake. Fine. I think that trans medicine as institutional practice diverts focus from necessary political struggles against patriarchy.
Trans
Medicine as
medicine.
institutional practice diverts focus from necessary political struggles against patriarchy.
Not, I don't really see that or fully understand it,
Fine.
but
So
no,
what?
not particularly.
So we have a total of like one position you agree, one maybe, and so there we
Again,
go.
it doesn't. Okay, well, it doesn't matter. I mean, you have these things and you associate with a fucked up group. Like it's not gonna. I'm just not going to be like, oh, this is a good member of ISIS, or this is a good member of some white
Look,
supremacist organization, or this is a
when was
good.
the
I
last
mean,
time a turf like executed somebody or burned them alive? Can you give me a single
no.
name?
No, you're not going to get into a sort of like, well, it's less evil than so and so. That doesn't make it okay, Bella. That doesn't.
No, the degree really fucking matters. Comparing somebody to like ISIS or whatever, a group that, to my knowledge, has not murdered a single fucking person in the name of like radical feminism, especially like trans
They just
exclusionary
ruined
radical
lives,
feminism.
and people to suicide. You're right. That's all.
So yes, drive people to suicide. I'm sure there's a couple of cases where that has happened or where radical feminists have contributed to that, and I don't think that's so. Oh my
See,
god, what?
here's the thing, Bella, is that when people give rhetorical examples, they exaggerate it in order to make it more obvious, as if you are zooming in on a picture and enlarging it to make it more so. So, yes, degree matters, but as far as giving examples and stuff go, it's supposed to, rhetorically explain, hey, this thing's a bad group to be a part of. This other thing's a bad group. It's different things, yes, but it kind of doesn't matter. The point is that my point, I guess, is that you should be willing, you're able to judge someone based on the company they keep and the groups they associate with.
Yeah, but that's part of my thing. Is I actually think that having gotten to know a lot of radical feminists, they're not as bad as people think they are. They're just not. And I do think that the opinions that I gave, most of which you disagreed with, are ones that I have seen other people be labeled as TERFs for. So,
This is a fruit of the rotten tree argument. I don't know if I'm using that right, but it's the it's like, make another name or identity or a different thing or something, and stop associating with people who are legitimately evil. Like these people, if they have similar views to you, if they're not extreme, if they're not hurting people, then they are not TERFs and they are not gender critical. And I know that you think they are, and you're wrong, Bella.
well,
Like I'm trying to help you. You need to cut off ties with this term if you want to get anyone to agree with you.
my goodness.
You disagree? How's
Well, look, why
it
can't
going for you
look, I
so
wouldn't,
far, Bella?
I would,
Did I get cut off?
you got cut off a bit, but it's fine. I think it's gone quite well. I've known people who I have convinced that it's not so bad.
Wow. Good victory, Bella. You're fucking banging on all cylinders. I convinced some people that it's not that
Well, yeah,
bad.
somebody said in chat, like, RDS, they are evil, don't talk to them argument. Exactly. Thought terminating cliches. Like, the label TERF is often a thought terminating cliche. And also, I need to point out, TERF say exactly the same thing about trans people. They say that trans people online have been sending me death threats and they're a terrible bunch of people. You shouldn't associate with them. I could turn the exact same thing around, but I'm not doing so. Oh my god, this keeps crashing. I'm gonna get mad. We'll play after
Yes, and
Palace.
that's appropriate. These people deserve death threats.
No, but you can't say, like, it's fine when our side do it. And when the other side, by the way, from what I can see, TERFs much less commonly send fucking death threats, even if the rhetoric they use is
I don't
very.
believe that. I just don't believe that.
What do you mean,
And I
just.
think that if someone else is evil and doing terrible things and associated with a terrible group, then yeah, they deserve it. I'm not saying you, I'm not saying your friends
But you
who you label as TERFs and gender
they
critical
label themselves. Many of
falsely.
them.
I'm not
Many no.
saying
Many of them
that.
label themselves as that. I'm not going to be like putting that on them.
Okay, well, fine. If they, I mean, they're allowed to
Turfy
be wrong too.
McTurferson,
You
as one
have a
of them said.
monopoly on being wrong. They can be wrong in labeling themselves too, if that's what it is. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about real, actual TERFs and gender critical who are out there harming people and bullying and just basically seem to devote their lives to cyberbullying. Yeah, I think that they should be treated like shit. And if you don't, that's fucked up.
No, look, like you're literally doing the thing of like when our side does it, it's fine. When their side does it, it's bad.
I think that there is a world of difference between going and bullying someone because of their identity and something that they cannot change and something that they are trying to do to improve themselves and be good and who are not hurting anyone. I think that there is a huge difference between doing that and bullying a bully.
But you have to understand that, like, gender critical feminists perceive trans people as the bullies. They see them as bullying our way into women's spaces and trampling on women's rights and bullying homosexuals. They see it as
Well, that's
bullying.
ridiculous. Those are stupid opinions that are not based in any way on fact. And I know you're going to disagree
But
because
they're
you're
going to say,
crazy and
but they would say that
extremist.
your opinions are stupid and not based in facts.
Okay, what, Bella? If we keep arguing about your stupid things, then we're not going to get time to talk about the that dumb news article that you wanted to talk about. And I'm
Okay,
very
fine.
interested
Yeah,
to
yeah,
shoot you
let's.
down over that.
Cool, yeah,
Shut
let's
up,
go for
Bella!
it.
Stop getting all winded and upset about this. You wanted this.
Fucking
Holy
calling.
shit! Hey, App, let me give you a behind the scenes thing to our viewers. Bella's like, "Hey, come on here, be as harsh as you want. I want it. Hurt me more, Daddy." And I fucking come on here, and then she's like, "What the fuck are you doing? Jesus Christ!"
You just made it very weird. You mentioned that I might be sort of, I guess, self-harming because I feel guilty about something. And I won't say that I don't feel a bit guilty about having changed my mind, but I can't change the fact that I find gender critical arguments more convincing now than I did before, and more convincing than I do trans arguments. And before you try to do this whole thing of, oh, you haven't tried to like listen to trans arguments, I've learned and encountered most of these arguments in a server for trans people to debate gender critical people, and I've not to do this line, but I've done 3 modules on it. And I'm teaching trans theory
Yes,
in
we
this
know you took a
semester.
module on that. You read 30 books.
I'm going to be teaching it at
We know, Bella.
university.
We all
Yeah,
know.
exactly. There we go. Yeah, just so you know, just in case anyone didn't know.
God, God, what was I gonna say?
Okay, well, let's to be conciliatory. Why don't you
At a party,
describe to the audience what
like they
happened
don't
at
know that I
Wiesbaden?
read 30 books about this.
They don't know that I read 30 books and it made me a TERF. Okay, okay, Apius, to be conciliatory, why don't you describe to the audience what do you think happened at Wiesbaden?
Oh, good idea. All right? Can you hear me? The stream was going a little bit weird there
We
for a
can hear
second.
you just fine.
Okay. I was gonna say this because if you were gonna say it, you were gonna fuck it up. So here's the there's this place. I think it's in like San Francisco or something. And it's a spa. It's a filled with Chinamen.
Dude,
I'm sorry, a Korean spa. What?
yeah, isn't Chinaman like a slur in America? Like, can we not actually say slurs on my stream, please?
The so anyways, Korean but I don't know any ones for Koreans. I had to use one for Chinese. Now, the so it's a spa. And what happened was the first inkling that people got about this was this thing of like a group of women, a video surfaced online of a bunch of women screaming like, that the sort of Karen stereotype that there was a man in their changing locker room thing, and it seemed like really outrageous transphobia and stuff. The woman who posted it had stuff that she was she later was posting things about how trans people don't exist, and it's just men being predators and stuff. And it really lit a fire under both sides of this thing. People on the right were furious, at this whole thing. They had said that this man had like flashed them or something in the locker room. And and people on the left were like, "This is a crazy bitch," because she certainly seemed like it. Oh, I'm sorry, I don't want to use a slur there, Bella. But she was getting and so there was things escalated. There were protests and fights and all this stuff outside. Now, what has come out since then is that the person who was doing this, it actually does look like they were a sexual predator. At the very least, this is someone who has been convicted before, is a sex offender, and has many instances of flashing and stuff. Innocent until proven guilty. We don't actually know. It could be a misunderstanding. But what the story allegedly is that they were in the locker room and were, I believe the phrase was semi erect. So so did I cover it fairly well, Bella?
Yeah, you did cover it fairly well. My point in all of this is that this is one of the things that NATO women have been worried about with rhetoric around identity, saying that identity should be the criteria by which we allow trans women to enter women's spaces and vice versa. They have been worried about identity as a basis for social categorization for this very reason, because it leads to situations like this in which, yeah, like
which in which a penis is visible. My God, what a horrible thing.
yes, but you understand that like seeing a penis in a context where you're not expecting to can be experienced as an assault, right? You understand that.
No, I mean,
But that's like why we have the sort of crime of flashing. That's why it's a crime. We recognize that it causes pain. I've received unsolicited dick pics on Grinder, and I do. It's not nice. It's not pleasant. So
why
I
why not? Everyone loves dick. I don't. Also, what did you expect on Grinder? Holy shit!
I expect on Grinder, but it's not. But that doesn't mean it's okay. Like, are we seriously doing the whole thing like, oh, sex crime is okay? Like, let's just show.
No, you're right. I'm sorry. I think okay. Here's mostly I'm just attacking you because it pleases me to do so. But you know what? You can finish your thoughts, and I'll give mine on this afterwards.
Well, look, okay, so it seems like this person, because from what I understand, Darren Manager, I think their name is now pressing, or her name. Let's assume that she's a trans woman. I don't know, and probably uses she/her pronouns. Um, she's defending herself legally on the basis that her nudity in that context was not a violation because she was a woman in an area where other women are expected to be naked, which is essentially telling natal women who may not agree with her womanhood, and therefore, because they don't agree with her womanhood, perceive the sight of her genitalia as an assault. It's telling those women to ignore the pain they feel at having experienced sexual assault, literally flashing, from a sex offender who has done flashing before, because other people agree with this sex offender's claims about identity. And obviously, it's not just the sex offender's claim, there's other people who agree with this position as well. But do you not see how identity in this case is being used to to make people not seek justice for a harm that's been done to them, or to put up with a harm that's been done to them?
Okay. So first off, I think that you're mistaking a few things. It doesn't. You don't have to be a man in order to do flashing things. A trans person can flash. A woman can flash, and it is equally illegal. So if a woman was in there doing some sort of sexual thing, masturbating or something, that would be flashing and exposing yourself and doing things like that. If they were getting a sexual kick from it. Have I been disconnected or?
You've not been disconnected. You're still here, and this is true. But there's one thing about like with the trans woman in particular, in that I think that maybe this is a function of Western culture, but I think it's harder for a vagina to be used in a
Haha, no
flashing.
pun intended.
It's harder for a vagina to be used in a manner analogous to how a penis is used when flashing. It's harder to brandish it, let's say, to speaking through terms, and there
Yes,
and I think this
yes, Bella.
contributes
We
to.
know you think that women can do
That's not true, for
no
God's
wrong and that
sake.
men are all evil, and yet we get it.
That's not what I think. I think it's
Well,
incredibly.
well, how am I supposed to misinterpret it when you're like, no, no, when you're like, no, 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 wait a minute, you don't understand. A man flashing is innately worse than a woman doing so.
I'm not saying. Well, I think we might read it as innately worse, and there are definitely narratives that we have about men being more likely to be predators. But there's one element of this also, which is the one that I do drive home at a lot, which is that we can say, oh, a woman could um, flash and could do inappropriate things, but it's extremely, extremely rare for a natal female to. I don't know if I've, indecent exposure, to my understanding, when a natal female gets convicted of it, it's usually her just being topless in the space. It's not like deliberately flashing her breasts for the purpose of sexual thrills. It's
Almost like almost like a trans woman just being naked in a space is automatically flashing. Some might say.
but the point is that in a space where people might perceive male genitals as an assault, seeing them as an assault because they're expecting to only see female-bodied people. Yeah, like I think it's reasonable for people to regard it that way. Oh my,
So so
yeah,
so
go.
the reason that I felt that I mentioned this before was that being trans isn't a get out of jail free card as far as this sort of flashing things goes. If there was intent and stuff, it doesn't actually matter. It's still and the other thing, the big thing that I want to get about this, a thought terminating cliche, if you will, something to hopefully terminate this stupid discussion. No offense, is that this whole thing it just so much reeks to me of someone going and desperately like trying to find a single news article to support their claim and be like, look, I imagine like TERFs like partying and being excited, we found one, we finally found an example. It's like it's one of these things where like, yes, I'm gonna comment on this and be like, yeah, it's bad, but then you have to kind of ask like, why are we talking about it? Like you think of it like when someone sends you a thing of like some black person who committed a horrible. There was a thing a while ago. Okay, in relation to this was during the whole George Floyd thing and police abuse and a black man being killed. There was an incident where a young black man had murdered this white kid, and everyone was like, "Oh, look at this! Look at how disgusting and horrible this is. There's stuff on both sides and stuff." And people pointed out, like, "Dude, this guy was like immediately. They put out a search for him, a statewide thing. They went, they arrested him. He was charged immediately. Like every justice was immediately brought. Whereas in the other case, it was not. So you have to eventually ask yourself, like, why are people bringing this up? Like, yeah, it's disgusting and it's horrible, but the reason clearly is this politically motivated cherry picking to make a mountain out of a molehill. Is my
I wouldn't say cherry picking. The reason it's being brought up is because you have to understand that when we are like for the people who are advocating that trans women should be permitted entry to women's spaces and such like that, where women are vulnerable, such as in the spa, there is first of all that you are introducing just de facto a greater risk of certain kinds of sexual assault because natal females are extremely unlikely to commit those assaults. So you are expecting natal females to take on some degree of risk with any trans woman because they can't know if a trans woman who is in there is going to be one of those who commits it. And it's even though it's extremely likely, they can't know, and it is asking them to take on some degree of that risk, which I don't think is fair to place on natal women, especially in vulnerable context. One of the worst is shutting down rape shelters and protesting rape shelters if they don't accept trans women. Like, women who are feeling extremely vulnerable because they've just been raped or abused by a male-bodied person, being expected to share space in a refuge with a male-bodied person is awful. Like, and it annoys me that people don't have any degree of empathy when they discuss this issue. I think you have now cut out Apius. Unless you're just like...
I didn't hear any of that. Everything keeps cutting out. Something about, like, I don't know. I got some of it. Something about, like, trans people going into women's bathrooms, it's always a risk and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, exactly. We're asking the system to take on some degree of risk. And I think people are sharing the story to talk about how there is risk in this. And we need to be aware of that this is one of the things that we're asking in the conversation, rather than claiming that there's no harm at all done or there's no risk at all in it. And yeah.
I think that a lot of this is, okay, so I think that pretty much all of these very stupid, pointless discussions about bathrooms and changing rooms and things would be immediately alleviated if we just had gender neutral spaces. But there is this, changing rooms and bathrooms and stuff. Like, it's something that, and also sports, by the way. I think that there are, in fact, despite what you hear, there are a lot of sports where it doesn't particularly matter whether you're male or female. I don't necessarily know if, 20-meter air gun shooting, men have an innate advantage over that. Archery, things that are not the high jump where your height matters and your muscle mass and stuff like that. But in any case, like, I think we're so used to dividing things up by gender that it's not, and I realize this is sounding dangerously close to me being in favor of some sort of gender abolition, but that's not what it is. So anyways, I think that, I don't know. Okay, so I have a different thing.
Okay.
Let me ask you this. Your plan for dealing with the trans problem, your final solution, if we will,
Oh, for
is
God's sake.
is that the is that, like, it's not good for trans women to go into women's bathrooms, but there's no way to enforce it. So, based on your rigid criteria, how would that in any way have prevented this situation?
Look, so based on my argument is not that these kinds of spaces, in many instances, should be policed by people. So if you see somebody who looks like they're male entering into a women's bathroom, unless, I don't know, I don't think one should, unless they're very, very clearly like male, I don't think one should call them out on it. For the reason that like sometimes you will end up harassing somebody who is like a natal female or a natal male, like myself. Like people tell me to leave men's bathrooms all the time because I use them, and I'm a natal man. Like I have a right to use them. So I'm looking out for my own interests in saying that we shouldn't police these spaces actively, right? Which is, and I bring this up because to re-emphasize that it's literally my own self-interest that's at stake here. So bear that in mind. But my argument is that trans women should make the choice to not use women's restrooms. And as I've talked about in my video, Gender Critical Trans Liberation, discussing that with Florista, I talked about how there are advantages for other trans women in trans women using men's bathrooms, but nobody wants to listen to me talking about that. They just want to say that I'm a transphobe for saying that trans women shouldn't use women's bathrooms.
Okay, you've managed to completely sidestep and just to reiterate everything that I just said. My question to you is really simple. You've spelled it out,
Yes,
as I
okay.
did. How would it have prevented this situation?
So, in my ideal world, the spa wouldn't have allowed like a trans woman to use the women's area of a spa. Like that's just
Wait a minute. I thought that you said that no one should be policing it.
well, no, but like because no, I meant like on the level of somebody. What's the word? Like, I meant on the level of somebody going to like I don't know. You see somebody going into the bathroom and you challenge them, but
Well,
because look, no, a public
yeah,
bathroom is
well, that's what you're
different.
talking about,
No,
isn't it?
because a public bathroom is different to a private area of a spa. The private area of the spa, they can control who goes in and out of that area, and they could have simply not admitted a trans woman. Whereas with a public bathroom, you can't do that because there's nobody controlling who goes in and out. So in spaces where you can control who goes in and out, like public bathrooms, like rape shelters and such like this, people should keep trans women out. Um, I'd like to shout out to the few people who are listening. I would like to shout out Dr. Joy Taylor's, I think that's her name, or Jessica Taylor's podcast, the Wandering Womb podcast. It's really good, and they have an episode where she and her wife talk about women-only spaces and how psychologically beneficial they are. And I think it's really valuable to listen to that to get a perspective from women of how useful these spaces can be for them psychically, and therefore we should respect and not seek to take this away from them. There we go. That's my
That's really weird. Are you saying that there's a TERF person who's a lesbian? I am really surprised by that.
yes. Somebody is asking what your opinion is on the category of child and adult. After all, the transition from one to the other is vague, gradual, and complicated. And that's by Lawrence S.
Uh, I don't know. The so I don't know. You go first because it's kind of something I haven't really thought much about.
Wait, on the category of trans age, I mean, I'm
Wait,
not.
wait, trans. Oh, wait. Are they saying what were they asking exactly? Are they talking about trans age or are they
I'll read
talking
it
about?
out again. What is Apius's opinion on the category of child and adult? After all, the transition of one to the other is vague, gradual, and complicated. Mark my words,
I
if they destroy the concept of man and woman, they will move on to childhood next.
I feel like what they're the, to have them write out more stuff because they're being a little bit vague. I think what they're trying to say is that if we let transes, exist in the society, then we're going to have to allow pedophilia. That we're going to have to be like, well, gender is just a construct, and so is age and stuff, which I don't particularly buy into. I don't think that that's a particular risk. Um, I don't know. Am I interpreting their
I don't know if you're
framework?
interpreting that. I don't know if you're interpreting their position right, but look, but anyway, that's my argument. My argument is that in when it comes to spaces whose entry is not being actively policed, trans women should make the right moral decision to not use those spaces to preserve them as female only spaces, because the preservation of those spaces as female only for people of the sort of female sex class has psychological benefits for natal women. I think Yeah, that's my argument. And
and
many
that's fine. And I don't
I don't,
particularly have a problem
but
with it.
here's this is wait. So you agree that trans women shouldn't use women's public restrooms and such like this?
I think that they should have the right to. I think that probably for a lot of reasons, including self interest and protection and stuff, it's probably a good idea not to. I think that I I sense, but I can also see a someone who looks like a woman and goes in there and is changing out of their clothes in a bra and panties would in a men's room would be in danger themselves as far as harassment or someone's unwanted sexual advances and things like that. And I know that that's something that you don't care about because you don't care about trans people and the
Dude, fuck off!
but
I
that's
no
something
no
that
no fuck off with that because I'm fucking trans and I deal with it. You're saying this as if it's some stupid hypothetical that I'm subjecting other trans people to. It's literally my fucking life. When I go into a fucking bathroom, that's what I deal with. So can you not fucking tell me that I'm
and you don't seem to have a problem with it. You're like, oh well, I get bullied and told these things. It's fine. Other trans people should deal with it. Teehee.
No, I'm not saying I'm saying that we should assert that we have a right as natal males to be in a space that's for natal males without having people question us on the basis of our performing femininity. In the same way that gay men shouldn't be harassed in male spaces for performing elements of femininity.
Shouldn't, but it's going to happen, and the way things are now, people are going to be subjected if they're a trans woman and they go into a men's bathroom, they're going to have probably a very unpleasant experience. And
Oh, really? Probably. You're saying they're probably going to have a very unpleasant experience, Apius.
What? I mean, look, you're the one who has repeatedly said that the message I'm getting from you is that hey, it's bad. Deal with it, suck it up, trans people. It's better than making
Yeah,
women uncomfortable.
I'm saying it's bad because fucking patriarchy sucks. The reason I get shit when I go into a men's room is because people have this idea in their head of what a limited range of things that a man has to be. That a man can't have breasts, that a man can't have a high voice, that a man can't have long hair, or no, well, some people think a man should have long hair, but a man can't have breasts and a high-pitched voice and all the rest of this. And these values and standards harm natal males. They have harmed me and they harm many natal males. And we need to fight against that. Yes, it sucks that I have to fight against that every time I use a public bathroom, but this is fucking patriarchy. Patriarchy fucking sucks. It sucks far worse for natal women who have to deal with vastly more shit under patriarchy. So yes, I think that we should respect natal female spaces and we should work to make male spaces more accommodating for trans women. Because like you said, there are many trans women, and I've already said this in a different video talking with Florista, but no one's going to fucking watch that video. They're just going to ignore me and and completely ram me over without listening to whatever the fuck I have to say. So if anyone's still listening to me now, I will give my opinions for this. We should make spaces for natal males more accommodating to trans women, in part because there are many trans women who don't pass and therefore are not safe to use female spaces. Some trans women don't care and they will use natal female spaces even if they don't pass at all, which I think is very irresponsible for themselves as well, because many trans women have been beaten for using natal female spaces. But that's another issue. There are many trans women who don't pass enough and therefore don't use natal female spaces, and they...
Anything you're saying. I went to the VM, $2.
We said you were going to rap in this, show, yeah. And I ended up rapping.
Bella, all I'm saying is that I have sympathy if someone, and I know you're going to be like, oh well, I'm trans, playing the trannier than thou card, but I have sympathy if some trans person for their own reasons feels that they want to or need to or whatever use a women's bathroom, and I know that you're of the opinion that it should never happen, and I would tend to agree with you. If in most cases probably
okay, wait.
Would benefit
so can we
everyone,
get you to agree that? Can we get you to agree that trans women shouldn't use women's bathrooms?
No, I'm not going to say that. I think that there are so many different types of cases out there that I can't possibly predict, and I think I would never judge someone for doing that, for using a women's space. But I'm saying that most cases probably. Okay, sure, fine, but it's a personal thing, and I don't think. And also, again, I don't think it's as big a deal as everyone makes it out to be. But and also, I think that it wouldn't be an issue if we had these gender-neutral bathrooms. I feel like that's the solution to everything.
I do agree. No, so here's the thing. I agree that gender-neutral bathrooms should be an option. But there are lots of issues when they are the only option. We shouldn't take away female-only spaces and replace them with a gender-neutral option.
No, I'm not
we got some
necessarily saying that.
interesting comments. Somebody said I was about to short circuit. Yeah, I was about to short circuit. Gotta drink some water, gotta rehydrate. And Lawrence is asking me, why is the existence of a male and female category necessarily patriarchy? Lawrence, it's not that the existence of a male and female category is necessarily patriarchy. The affording of different life chances to people in the male and female sex class is the condition of patriarchy.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting question, but but it kind of answers itself. The premise is of patriarchy. Correct me if I'm wrong, Bella. Is the idea of men kind of being in control or having say over different things more so than women. And in order for that to be the case, you need to have men and women. It would be like I can't think of a good analogy. It's like why why is the existence of dogs important to the existence of a pack of dogs? It's like, well, I mean, you need they need to exist in order for it to happen.
That's not quite it. So like feminist theorists have lots of different theoretical approaches to what precisely patriarchy is and how it came into being. Shirley Ortner makes in her 1972 paper is female to male as nature is to culture. She makes a very fascinating argument that native females, by virtue of them in all cultures having a greater role in wet nursing and child rearing by virtue of the reproductive process, therefore they are more closely tied to the domestic sphere and have greater barriers of entry to extra domestic social spaces, which is often where various forms of power in societies are exercised. And that constitutes the fundamental condition of patriarchy. That is an argument that I do find quite convincing, although it has been critiqued. So there's one like answer. How are we quantifying how much power is wielded? Women have various powers, men don't. Okay, I'm a bit too like tired to go into like a full feminist theory like argument about this, but I'm personally not very I don't like soft power arguments. People often make the arguments, oh, behind every powerful man there's a powerful woman influencing him. I don't like that because men also have soft power and it doesn't get talked about. So my point is that women's soft power is not a counterbalance to male power in patriarchy. It's because men also have soft power. That's my thing. Right. Anyway, so fucking hell. Right. The short of it is, okay, so we got you to agree on like the bathroom issue with me for the most part because yeah,
No, we didn't.
you said that in most
You keep
cases
trying.
trans women shouldn't. You said that.
In a, I didn't. Well, I guess you could say shouldn't, but I'd say in many cases, I don't necessarily know how many. I don't know who is what, but I can see compelling arguments for why a. But I think it's a personal choice, and I think that it's something that there. I think there are very reasonable reasons why a trans woman would want to use and should be able to use women's facilities, and that's just how I feel.
I agree that there are reasonable reasons like
And I
safety.
feel that it's exposed that
I agree
yeah.
that there are reasonable
I
reasons,
mean,
but
and it's just you don't care as much as for women,
but
for
here's
cis women.
no, well, first, well, on a level, kind of yes, because like trans women are going to be such a small minority. So, um, why should our interests come above those of the majority of the population? And it depends on the question. It's like, are trans women at risk of violence in these spaces? And is the risk of violence in female spaces so much more greatly increased by having a trans woman? You have to balance those out. And in my experience at least, yeah, people tell me to leave men's rooms, but I haven't, and I've gotten rude looks and I've gotten rude comments, etc. I don't get attacked, you know? I just don't think it's as risky as people think it is.
Well, I mean, you're right. If it hasn't happened to you, then it doesn't exist.
Look, no, that's.
And also I think that this is why I was mocking you previously when you blew up like a fucking hysterical woman. they, with what is it about minimizing the problems. It's like, well, people give me mean looks and they say mean things to me and stuff. No, that's not something to blow off, Bella. I mean, if you're fine with
I
it and you
don't
can
no,
deal with it, that's great. You're a big,
I don't
tough,
blow it off
independent
because
woman. But
it's sexist bullshit. I don't blow it off. But I don't think that my discomfort in that is worth making natal females feel potentially in danger. I just don't think it's worth it.
I just don't think that they. I just don't think that that's as common a thing as you think. Maybe Britain is just even shittier than I personally initially thought, and maybe that's the case that it is. But I just don't think. I mean, I've worked with trans people, and they've gone to bathrooms and things, and in work areas and stuff. It was just never an issue. Nobody behind the scenes, and we talked about some really like harsh stuff about you know so and so's being a fucking pussy about so and so. All sorts of very crude things. No one ever brought it up. And again, it's just my personal issue, but I think that most people just don't particularly care. If someone, especially by the way, in women's bathrooms where it is, divided up into, self-contained stalls where you don't actually see the person except when they walk in and then they go to the sink and walk out. So
It's not just the store, yeah, but like that area between the stools and the sink. The fact that it's female only can be quite valuable. I am told that in many women's bathrooms they have, domestic abuse shelter hotlines hung up there. Women can go and uh, get help from other women to help them escape an abusive partner, etc. There's loads of valuable things that these spaces serve, and with this whole thing of like, oh, I know trans people use these bathrooms without problems. It's entirely possible that some women who, saw a trans woman in that space felt uncomfortable and didn't say anything, or even felt afraid and didn't say anything. Um, that
Well, I just don't necessarily know if feeling uncomfortable is like the more important valid thing than someone being harassed, like a trans woman going into a men's bathroom. I just don't think that being uncomfortable a bit is as big of a deal.
well, how okay, look, how do we know that they're getting? Maybe in some areas they do get harassed. We'd have to see, frankly, how
I
often.
mean, well, you've literally described repeated things, so
Look, yeah, I get told to leave, and I get like a couple of snide comments. That makes me uncomfortable. It's just not that big a deal, at least for
but
me.
yeah, again, I mean, that's all I'm saying is that you minimize this stuff and that it's not as important to you as cis women stuff. And feel free to blow up again, but I mean, I think that that's accurate, isn't it?
Well, it is kind of a thing that because trans women are such a small part of the population, we like our concerns shouldn't override those of a majority, and they shouldn't erode the value of a same sex space. There is a critique also, which arguably may have been validated in the Wiesbar incident, that because visibly you can't tell the difference between a trans woman and a man who's cross dressing, right? Natal females, if trans women are able to enter, then there would be less of a barrier to entry for a male predator to enter women's spaces in order to commit abuse. And there could be legal justification for them staying in those spaces and not being able to be removed, which could be really problematic. And this might be because if the Wiesbar person wins her court case, then she has the legal right essentially to expose herself to natal women, and that's really not right.
Nope. That's you're being incorrect. You're fear mongering and being incorrect. Again, it doesn't matter what the legal definition of these things. It at no point does it say male or penis or anything like that. It is universally there's a strict set of criteria. So it does not matter if someone is cis male, cis female, trans male, trans female. If you're engaging in exhibitionism and flashing and stuff, then it is illegal. So it doesn't, it's not a magic wand that is going to prevent that from.
No, my point is no,
Um,
my point is that um, there could be instances in which a crime is about to happen and it is prevented from happening because people recognize somebody as male about to enter a women's space, and they remove that person, and they're socially sanctioned in doing so. Whereas if they see somebody who's male entering that space, and let's say in this case the person, let's say this was Darren Manager and she has the intention to commit that crime, and people if people aren't able to question her and say that you shouldn't be there, then she goes on to commit the crime. And but if in contrast she is addressed early and ejected from the space, that crime is prevented, and people feel safer in those spaces.
And I mean, there's so many holes in this theory though, which is that like number one, it would have to be some place that's actively being policed. You don't want places to be policed, but maybe there's certain places where they automatically have it. Okay, fine. So let's say that's there. They go in, they say, "Excuse me, you can't go in," and the person says, "Well, I'm female. I was born female, and I'm female and stuff like this." What's your recourse then? I mean, you have really butch male-looking ones, and this is exactly the nightmare scenario that you don't want happening: is someone being ordered not to go into some place because they look masculine. So, I mean,
I
there's a lot of flaws already in this.
I agree. So like, but like, I think this would work for all but minorities of cases, because with passing, I think that somebody who is natal male or natal female can like, upon close examination, people usually can perceive it, I think. And so like if somebody like I think this has happened with me. Like when people tell me like the wrong bathroom, love, it's usually a very they've seen me only very briefly in the men's room because I'm quickly like just washing my hands and leaving. And if I like sort of look them in the eye and say, no, I'm a man, and they sort of take some time to look at me, they can usually perceive that I'm male. And I think the same thing would apply with natal female spaces as well. There are still going to be exceptions. There are going to be natal females who, especially trans men, who look very masculine. And in those cases, I think they probably also should use the men's or a gender neutral stall, because they might cause that same fear in other people in women's rooms. And it sucks that that's the world that we live in, but it is, right?
And we've mentioned that before, and I think that that is fucking ridiculous. I think that that is really fucking dangerous, and it goes immediately against your own. It seems incredibly hypocritical to me. It's like, hey, it would be dangerous if there's a man in a woman's space, and it's like, well, what if it's a woman surrounded by naked men and stuff, or rather a natal female, let's say, and you're like, well, that's fine.
I
It's
have a
like,
question. I have a question for R1234. Bella, what do you think about patriarchy as an evolutionary adaptive? I will put this back on you. So to clarify, R123, are you asking whether I think patriarchy was evolutionarily beneficial for Homo sapiens sapiens at the point of our speciation? Is that the question?
and I think there's a bit of a delay before they answer. So, um, in the meantime, let me mention and stop me if he replies. But there's an interesting thing with hunter-gatherer societies or gatherer-hunter, whatever, that there seems to be a lot more
Ah, Apius has cut out. Oh no.
egalitarian. There's not a value attached to it, and it seems to be once people. Oh, let me know if you can hear me.
I can hear you now. You're fine.
Testing.
Testing.
Okay, you
You're
can hear
back.
this.
You're back. I can hear you. Yeah, you're
Okay.
good.
Whatever. Long story short, nomadic hunter-gatherer.
Oh no, he's cutting out. The horror. Let's see if I've got an answer.
Who
Okay, so
they have such
we
plentiful
haven't
resources,
we
normally by rivers,
haven't we
where
have
they
an
do not.
answer. So
Oh
R1,
God.
sorry,
Okay.
R1234 has said yes. So the question is that do I think that patriarchy was adaptive and beneficial at the moment of speciation for Homo sapiens sapiens? And I would ask, what was the paleo environment? So the environment and the landscape at the time that Homo sapiens became a species, and how are you proposing the patriarchy would, as a sort of social structure, would have been beneficial for said society, however patriarchy is defined? So do you have two questions? R one, one, what was the environment? meant the time that Homo sapiens became a species, and how did a patriarchal social organization benefit, say, the species at this time. There we go. Cool. So, oh my goodness. There's a reason why the hunter-gatherer societies were mullered by the horse-riding alpha warriors of old. Someone unironically using alpha in my chat. The true answer to all of you, I am the most alpha male of all of you. Like, these fucking losers out there.
Do you know how much an advantage?
Sorry, Apius, go on.
Yeah, good argument, Bella. I think I'm on some delay and everything's just fucking. I don't know.
We'll maybe like start. Yeah,
can you hear me?
I can hear like you do keep cutting out. And also I'm getting kind of tired. I think I unironically like burned through a lot of steam when I like ranted and raved about women's faces and I short circuited. You can probably hear it in how tired I sound now.
Oh brother.
Oh
Jesus
brother.
Christ.
But the answer is that
Bella.
The answer is that I am the true alpha male. I am the most alpha male of all of you. I'm the most masculine male. I am the Giga Chad. You'll like kneel before my superiority. Honestly, it's true though. Like I think like estrogenized males are the most Chad of all males. Let's be real. Like we're so male, right, that we have to take estrogen. Otherwise, our levels of testosterone would be too high, and society would just not be able to handle all of this male. You know, like all of this man. Like my cock is already 10 inches, but it would probably be 20 if it wasn't. Okay. Oh God. Okay. That deserves to be clipped. I wish I was at the size where people would like clip chimp me, because that would be a very funny clip to have.
Oh boy. So yeah, I did want to talk about the thing about male. You know, we had a list. Just behind the scenes glance here. We had a list of different topics to cover, and one of them was like the way masculine bodies are viewed by society. But I'm also a little bit burnt out from yelling at you for all your stupid opinions. No offense, but yeah.
Hang on 1 second. Lawrence says that the simple fact that the patriarchy survives suggests that it was evolutionarily adapted. That's not true. There are many, say, vestigial elements that survive as long as they are neither beneficial nor harmful to an organism. I'll try and I can't. There are certain reflexes in humans that are vestigial. Web toes are vestigial, and sometimes they happen.
Yeah, if you actually did like a critique of the human body, there's a few things that really like are not useful and actually are kind of detrimental, but they're not detrimental enough to have been gotten away with. It's kind of not a great thing that the not to get graphic, but that the vagina and butthole are like right next to each other. That leads to lots more frequent, you know, yeast infections and urinary infections and things like that. And it's not a good adaptation, but it still survives.
Yeah, exactly. 200%. I'm going to kill this guy that's behind the thing. Yeah, we've had a very tiring stream. Let's do. How about to chill out for a bit? Apius, give us a wrap.
Oh, good idea, Bella. Okay, this one is another one by Eminem. It's a recent one off of his Kamikaze album, and starts off kind of slow and then gets fast, and hopefully I won't screw it up too bad, but it's like, let me get some water.
Cool.
It's like, I got a couple of mansions, still I don't have any manners. You got a couple of ghostwriters, but to these kids it don't actually matter. They're asking me what the fuck happened to hip-hop. I said I don't have any answers because I took an L when I dropped my last album. It hurt me like hell, but I'm back on these rappers. And actually, coming from humble beginnings, I'm somewhat uncomfortable winning. I wish I could say, what a wonderful feeling. We're on the upswing like we're punching the ceiling. But nothing is feeling like anyone has any fucking ability to pen humility. Why don't we make a bunch of fucking songs about nothing and mumble them? Fuck it, I'm going for the jugular. Shit is a circus. You clowns that are coming up. Don't give an ounce of a motherfuck about the ones who were here before you that made rap. Let's recap. Way back. MCs that wreak havoc on tape decks. A-daps with a G-raps and Kane's at. I need 3 stacks. ASAP and bring back to ace back because half of these rappers have brain damage. All the lean rap and face tats syruped up like tree sap. I don't hate trap and I don't want to seem mad, but in fact, where the old meat at the same cat who would take that feedback and aim back. I need that. But I think it's inevitable. They know what button to press with lever to pull to get me to snap, though. If I'm paying attention, I'm probably making them bigger, but you've been taking the dicks on the fucking backhoe. On the brick in a minute, got me thinking of finishing everything with them. It's seated minute and reaping the benefits. I'm asleep at the wheel again as I'm peeking to thinking about the evil intent of another beat. I'm a kill again. Because even if I gotta end up beating a pill again, even ketamine, no methamphetamine, with a minute, better be 70 to 300 milligrams, and I might as well, because I'm end up being a villain again. Levels to the shit I got an elevator. You can never say to me I'm not a fucking record breaker. I sound like a broken record every time I break a record. You could never take away the legacy I make. I never can. Motherfucker, I got a right to be this way. Spite inside my DNA. But I write till the wheels fall off. I'm working tirelessly. It's the moment y'all been waiting for, like California, wishing rain to pour. You've been waiting for my downfall. From the 8 Mile to the South Paw, I'm still Marshall, that outlaw who they say is a writer, might have fell off back on that bull like the Cowboys. Whew. Did you mute yourself or something?
I muted myself. I said very good. And,
Thank you.
oh my god.
I only messed up a little there.
You've got some fans, I think. I think.
Oh, good.
Um, I think they want an encore. I think they want round 2.
Oh, brother.
Oh, brother, indeed.
Let me think. There was I have to do one. Yeah. You take this time to relax because what was it? I want to do another like fast one, but like how about here we go. This one's relatively short, but it's nice. It's like this is by I think King Crooked or Crooked Eye from Slaughterhouse. See, I'm a menace villain. I'm a menace villain. My pen is sitting, spilling my lyrics, killing. Then I'll let you witness it when it hit the ceiling. That cracker drilling to give the listeners the sickest feeling, like mixing some Benadryl and penicillin. Then I'm filling the clip with the written. Can you imagine my pistol drilling a million women and children when I'm villain? But it isn't real. It's a rap on the real. It's a rap. How can you possibly stop the apocalypse when an atomic bomb in the populace shocked the metropolis? Hostile as a kid, popping a Glock at his mom's and his pops. Then he hops in his drop with his iPod, rocking the slaughterish documentation of lyrics. I write with confidence, write like a columnist slash novelist. I'm in this game to demolish it, establish my dominance over prominent rappers. You popping shit till you opposite. I can spit ominous, so spit confidence. Now, Haile Selassie, Gandhi, and Pac of this hip hop genre.
All right, nice
Yeah.
guys. What did we feel? How did that go? Feedback is.
Oh,
Sorry,
brother.
I'm being a dick. Zenith Skeller is asking, does he know any Christian rap? No, but I know like medieval Christian rap.
Oh, nice. Christopher, I think there was a group called Sewer Rats, which strangely is a Christian rap group, and they're pretty good. Let me see. I know some satanic raps.
Oh, that's interesting. I'm just
The
quickly loading up my collection of fun Latin text. I can
nice.
I can read out the one about the bisexual throuple from 4th century Gaul if people want. Guys, do we want some Roman poetry?
Desperately.
All right, people are going for it. So, semivir luxorem luxistis ovele moecam, o quantus fiat questus ut rimquedomi, cum David uxorem alitor tuus et tibi adulter, quanti de prensi damna pudore sement, sed modaque vobis lucrosa libido videtur, iactoram zeniomox sub eiunte feret, incipient operas conducti vendere moeci, quas modo munificus lenna juventa tenet. Which means, Zoilus, you half man, you married a slutty wife. How great shall the moaning be on both sides of the house when your adulterous top will give it to you and your wife. They shall buy the damnations of such an uncovered shame. But that libido, which now seems profitable to you guys, shall take away the despicable woman with the old man going down. They shall begin to sell the sort of submissive bottoms services, those services which the young lioness now holds. So,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
this
that's
is.
pretty good.
Thank you. Guys, did you enjoy that Roman poetry rather than Apius is laughing? Apius, I'm being a dick. It's because there were some comments that were not very um nice about the rapping, so I was
No, I'm shocked.
gasp.
The well, what were they? I wanna hear.
Yeah, because you said you wanted to yell at chat as well as me, so you can yell at them.
Yeah, desperately.
Goodness. Um, this why is this happening? He must stop immediately. You got that one. What else do we have? No, please don't. Um, cultural appropriation. Um,
Cultural appropriation.
some
Eminem
talent.
is white, you fucking idiot.
Oh goodness, he can do it quite quick. To be fair, so you have one stand
Hey,
there.
well, 1 out of 6 isn't bad.
1 out of 8, as it happens.
Oh, brother, this is
Yeah.
great.
Oh, brother, indeed. You've been saying brother a lot this stream. Um, but yeah, awesome, nice. Goodness, I think this would be a good time to wind down and chill, especially because it's like nighttime over here in Dublin. I don't know where it is, everywhere else. Oh, guys, announcement about the channel and stream. So basically, I used to stream every week, but now I've moved to Dublin, and I said this at the start of the stream, but I'll repeat it very quickly. And I'm in a place where I can't there are noise restraints, so I can't stream every night. Sorry, every week. In 2 months' time, on by like the 30th of October, I'll be in a new uh, flat where I can stream. But what I've done is I've recorded a bunch of small videos of me reading through some interesting Latin poetry. Mostly it's Latin poetry that's about queer shit. And I've set those videos, they're going to upload slowly every Thursday and every Wednesday. They're just small little 5-minute videos, so there'll be something. And one thing I'm planning to do also is literally getting my phone and doing small little streams, small little videos and streams from my university, recording my own thoughts about, just various trans and gender critical and other political events like race theory, because, I'm going to be teaching critical theory and this stuff is all going to come up. So, you guys can expect that going forward to the channel. I do love streaming and I love responding to chat live. So I'm going to miss streaming with you guys, and I appreciate all of you guys for watching and being part of this. So I hope you'll be back when I come back to live streaming in October. Yeah,
Very exciting.
indeed, very exciting.
And
Yeah, go on.
I know that this has been pretty draining for you, and maybe it's kind of a dick move for me to bring this up on stream.
Go for
But
it.
you know, we could stream tomorrow. You have a wide, full schedule now.
I do have a wide. Oh yeah, we could stream tomorrow as well. I have it. We can do that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, that's true. I originally, yeah, I had originally said that we're not going to stream tomorrow because I had a date, and then she cancelled on me because I'm a TERF. So,
Yeah.
boo-hoo, cry
Oh,
for me,
poor
guys.
Bella.
I'm just out here trying to date trans women when I'm a trans exclusionary radical feminist. It's so hard. Thank you, Ganda.
Yeah.
I'll try to have fun in Dublin. I will try.
Oh, Bella. Okay. Do you know? Why? Why? Like Irish businesses always do so well?
Why?
Because their capital is always Dublin.
Oh, that's good. I like that one. I like that one. That's nice. But yeah, no. So okay, yeah, guys, we might stream tomorrow afternoon. I'll schedule for it, since I'm forever alone.
Oh, poor Bella.
Yes. Have a great weekend, guys. Yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Hope you'll have a great day. Bye, everyone.
Bye bye.
And
Oh, I'm sorry. I hope I didn't